This is Riley, and welcome back to Otherworldly Fiction. Today, I'll be going over 7 questions the wizarding world left me with. You may not like Rowling, but you can't deny Harry Potter's got style. The world is rich, the characters are believable, and the magic is fun. Even so, the complex lore usually introduces more questions than it answers. These are the important questions that keep us up at night, even if the series isn't hurt for them being raised. Before I continue, please remember to like and subscribe. My first question involves the Metamorphagus and the Animagus. They're separate entities, but any witch or wizard with sufficient skill can become an Animagus with enough training. A Metamorphagus, by contrast, is something you are born as. A wizard can't train himself to be one any more than a muggle could train himself to be a wizard. It's in your blood. Still, how do different types of magic interact? Tonks can effortlessly change her appearance without the need of Polyjuice potion or transfiguration. She can change her hair color and make a literal duck face. Would her special qualities extend to an animal form if she were to have one? Animagus are supposed to have distinct markings. They don't change, just as the typical human doesn't really change. However, Tonks is a special case. If a Metamorphagus also became an Animagus, could they manipulate their appearance as an animal? If Tonks was a cat, could she give herself purple fur? Pink fur? It's something I can't help pondering. Which leads me to my next question. How does Polyjuice potion work? It's established that it can be used to transform a human individual into another human individual. But what happens when somebody messes up? Animal transformations are messy, to say the least, but they sort of work. Not properly, of course, but something happens. We know what happens when animal hairs get in the potion, but what about other types? What would happen if goblin hair got in there? Or centaur fur? What if the hairs of 2 different people were thrown into the mix? If you put in your own hair from when you were a child, would you transform back into your younger self? If you put in the hairs of 2 different people, would you grow 2 heads? And what if you were pregnant? Or if the person you were changing into had a tumor, would you grow that too? How exact is this? If a baby hair got in there, how would your adult brain fit into the little skull? There are a lot of terrifying possibilities presented with Polyjuice potion, and some of the gruesome pictures the Golden Trio come across in most potent potions offer glimpses of what could happen if you experiment with it. Let's just say it's not pretty. Returning to the matter of animals, my next question concerns the Animagi again, as well as their Patronuses. There's an implication that your Patronus can correlate with your Animagus form. James produces a stag Patronus, but he also turns into one. Theoretically, could your Animagus form change if it hasn't been locked in? Your Patronus can shift to reflect how you've changed as a person, so why wouldn't your Animagus form? Given that such a shift is rare in the first place, and the Animagi even more rare, it's a question that would be tricky to answer. There's also the matter of what animals are available to you. Some have Patronuses of magical creatures. Does this extend to the Animagus form? Is there anyone who can turn into a unicorn or a phoenix? Given that Animagi are so rare, there are a lot of unexplored possibilities here. My fourth question pertains to crime. How is criminal activity not more common in the wizarding world? Does the sheer awfulness of Azkaban really scare people into such good behavior? Magic would just make crime so easy. A Metamorphagus, able to change appearance at will, could be the world's greatest thief, given that nobody would ever know what they really looked like. The common use of Polyjuice potion and transfiguration would also serve the same purpose, if with more effort on the part of the perpetrator. And that's just the manipulation of one's own appearance. The books already cover the danger posed by the Imperius Curse, but magic would make other crimes all too easy. If you spike someone's juice with love potion and marry them, that's obviously illegal. And if you transfigure someone into a beetle and step on them, then you've committed murder with great ease. In reality, magic should make crime a huge problem, mainly because of how easy it would be. My fifth question comes back to animals and transfiguration. Cedric is able to wave his wand and create a dog from a rock. But how real is that dog? No spell can reawaken the dead, and yet wizards are capable of creating sentient life from nothing. The disappearance of Slughorn's fish, Francis, would indicate that the animals are tied to their creators. Lily created Francis, and when she died, Francis vanished. But how real was Francis in the meantime? Could he have mated with other fish? If Cedric had kept his dog, would it have had a mind of its own, needed to eat? In short, are the animals wizards make actually alive? It's a question that makes my head hurt, but it goes the other way too. Wizards can transform animals into inanimate objects, such as water goblets. But what happens to the animal during this process? Is it still conscious? If you turn a porcupine into a pincushion, is it still aware you're jabbing pins into it? No matter how you look at it, animals and their relationship to transfiguration sounds both complicated and gruesome. If nothing else, the wizarding world needs its own PETA division. My sixth question involves animals, again, but of the magical variety. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them establishes that dragons of different breeds can mix. And just to be clear, I'm talking about the book that actually talks about the Fantastic Beasts. Newt's guide breaks down the different species and their varying characteristics. And while he says crossbreeding is possible, there are no examples given of these hybrids. What happens if two dragons from differing species mix? Is it that rare? And if so, why? Is breeding them yourself even illegal? Other creatures in the world are bred together through magic. Sometimes, magical creatures are mixed with non-magical creatures, especially by those who don't know any better. It may take a short story about a certain human-giant hybrid to answer this question. If anyone would want to experiment with breeding dragons like dogs to see what happens, it would be Hagrid. My seventh question, of course, also pertains to Hagrid. Humans and giants can have children, but giants can be bigger than skyscrapers. If they could somehow get together, a giant, even a very gentle one, would likely crush the human in that scenario. And most giants aren't gentle. It's possible Hogwarts has a special sex ed class to explain this one, but given that the series was written with children in mind, we're unlikely to get even a Pottermore-esque tweet on this question. In a world filled with human transformation, mind control, and semi-sentient pincushions, there's bound to be questions. Mostly, the possibilities presented by these questions are a testament to the complexity of the world. The rich lore makes the imagination buzz, and that's a good thing. What questions has the series left you with? What fan fiction would you write to answer some of these? Sound off in the comments below. And if you didn't subscribe or like at the start of the video, please turn back your time turner by a few minutes and do so. Thank you for listening.